Audio Jungle.
Hi there, flock members. Badraven here today. We are on part 5 of 10 of the Badraven Scary Movie Collection of the Halloween series that I've got on Blu-ray, the 10 disc box set. So we're going to do this review about, of course, Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers. Well, it has been called Halloween 6, Halloween, not the Curse, Halloween, The Origin of Michael Myers. It had several different names, but the actual theatrical release was The Curse of Michael Myers. This one had a producer's cut that came out later on that was first on the internet as a bootleg for a long time that fans had put together and downloaded on their own and stuff like that. But this is not the, which I've got the producer's cut in the set, but this is the actual theatrical release I actually watched at the movie theater. I'd rather go with that one than the producer's cut because, I don't know, this one I seemed to like better, even though I didn't really like this one either. But, you know, being able to sit through, we'll do a review of this one. So this movie came out in 1995, and it's by Miramax and Dimension Films. They did I think the first 4 and 5 also. I'll double check that if I'm wrong. I'm sorry. They did this one as a follow-up to part 5. Follows the storyline from that. Now, this is set 6 years later, of course, in Haddonfield. This is when Jamie Lloyd was abducted at the police station after part 5 and took off. And it's been 6 years since she's been there. And evidently, she's got pregnant by Michael. And that's his niece. It's kind of sick and disgusting to even think about. But apparently these druids, they call them, cult has control over Michael with the thorn, I think it's thorn symbol on his arm. And they have been protecting Michael over the years, we find out. They must be wanting somehow their religious beliefs is that they have to have some killer in the bloodline. And they somehow at their facility, which looks part like a hospital and part like a temple of some sort for their rituals. So I can't really describe it. It's a very odd looking movie. Directed by Joe Chappelle. I don't know what he's directed before. It says writers Deborah Hill and John Carpenter, so I don't know if they're the actual writers of this or not. If they are, they really missed the mark. Well, at least it's the characters. I think it's meaning the characters. They created the characters they're using in this. It's got Paul Rudd in it, and this was before he was the Paul Rudd of all the the romantic comedies and Ant-Man and all that. So it's way back in 1995. So he was just starting out, I guess you could say. So it was kind of neat to see him in one of his first roles. So we'll go through the cast right now when we started here, and we got Donald Pleasence, of course, as Dr. Loomis. Of course, Paul Rudd as Tommy Doyle. That's the one that Jamie Lee supposedly took, in the first Halloween, the John Carpenter classic, babysits for the little boy. He's supposed to be him grown up. Then you got Marina Hagen as Carrie Strode, and Mitchell Ryan as Dr. Wynn, Kim Darby as Deborah Strode, Bradford English as John Strode, Keith Bogart as Tim Strode, that's the brother of the girl, Maria O'Brien as Beth, Leo Gatter as Barry Sims, and J.C. Brandy as Jamie Lloyd. That's the only ones I'm going to talk about in this one, I guess you could say. I know when they were going to make this movie, the girl that played Jamie Lloyd, what was her name? I can't think of her name right offhand. I'll post it here, but she was going to be in this when she was really young after still pretty young, but they was wanting to make her be the part again as a recurring, her part from part 5. somehow, I think she read the script and found out that she's supposed to be impregnated by her uncle, and it kind of got weird. So she didn't end up being in it, and they decided to go with this other girl. Like I said, it takes place. Show the beginning of it. They're in some kind of, like I said, hospital mixed with a cult, like offering place. So they're Jamie is having her baby, little Michael Jr. from incest, of course. They decide, I guess she gets to go in labor and everything like that. They talk about the thorn symbol, have like a narration from Paul Rudd talking about the events that led up to this, and then the Druids, how they protect Michael and how this is taking place. We start with that. You see the hospital. You see her going into labor. You see her going through the labor pain. She has the baby. They take the baby and they do some kind of offering thing in front of a big. It almost looks like like a sword and sorcery movie where they have the fire going in the background, and you have all the people with their outfits on, with the symbol of the thorn symbol on their bodies. And they're doing a little thing with the baby, and they got a knife and everything. They're putting blood on his stomach and making the symbol. And then the nurse gets the baby back for Jamie and brings it back to her and says, "Get out of here, take your baby and leave." Of course, the nurse dies a very rough death, like stabbed to a wall. And Jamie gets out of there and gets in a truck, finds somebody's truck. It just happens to be out there. And of course, Michael's chasing her. He must jump in the back of the truck because somehow he follows her all the way to the bus station. She gets to the bus station, and of course, nobody's there. It's kind of strange. I think it's the day before Halloween. It's kind of strange that there's nobody in there, but it's totally empty. And there's a radio station doing a Halloween marathon or something about Michael Myers, and they're going to do a live event on Halloween in Hattonfield to talk about all the problems that the town's had since Michael Myers' legacy lives on there. He's talking, and then she ends up calling the radio station, and somehow Tommy Doyle, played by Paul Rudd, and Dr. Loomis, Donald Pleasence, hears her on the radio. And she's crying and going on about Michael and everything like that. And that leads Tommy Doyle later on. I won't get too far into it, but she abandons her baby in the bus station, and Michael doesn't know that. She jumps back in the truck. He chases her onto a barn, and of course kills her in the barn with some kind of machinery there. Kind of a wild kill, I guess you could say. After he kills her later on, when the police find him, he's got like this big symbol. He's like burned into the hay or something, or drawn on the hay of the thorn symbol. And I've never seen him ever do that in any of the other movies. Because it's kind of a strange thing that they did that. Kind of odd. Later on, Tommy Doyle is listening to the radio. He records all the radio station, and he lives right across from the Strode's house, and he's always constantly spying on them. But he listens back to the tape of the girl talking on the radio, and he hears like a bus terminal or something, or a train, whatever station she's at. So he goes back there, and he literally goes to the phone booth, finds a puddle of blood, and the blood is on the floor all the way to the bathroom. I mean, I don't know who runs this station, but they just completely left it blood everywhere. So I guess back in 1995, I guess they didn't do much cleaning. They didn't have to worry about AIDS or any other diseases, so they just let the blood just lay there. Because he literally follows it to the bathroom, to the sink, and actually blood in the sink and everything. And he hears the baby. The baby's been there for I don't know how long that night, and the next day, and people's been in there, and it's never cried. Until he stands in that room, boom, it starts crying. He finds the baby, and somehow runs into Dr. Loomis. He takes it back to the police station, and of course Donald Pleasence is there because his friend in the movie. This is a spoiler review, people, so just letting you know now. Donald Pleasence is visited at the beginning of the movie by one of his friends at the sanitarium. He tells him about Michael. He wants him to take over for the sanitarium, and Donald Pleasence. Dr. Loomis says, "No, I mean, I'm retired. My fights with all that is over with." But somehow, when he hears the girl on the radio, he ends up checking it out and goes back to Hattonfield with him, his buddy, from the sanitarium. And that's when Loomis runs into Tommy Doyle. He's got the baby, and he's telling him, like, He tells them the whole thing about Michael Myers and the baby and all that. It cuts to the family that's living in the Myers house, which is they're Strodes. I don't know exactly if that's like a distant relative or something somehow, but they own the house, but they're a realtor place too, so they end up staying in the actual house. He's got the man, and this guy's like Bill Clinton. Looks just like Bill Clinton in this movie. The girl's father, the character of the girl, was played by the Marie Hagen, Kara Strode. Her dad was John Strode, was Bradford English, and he is definitely a Bill Clinton lookalike. And of course, he hates his daughter. He hates her son. His grandson would be living with them. Evidently, she has had some poor choices in her life and had to move back home. And they don't have a really good breakfast talk in the morning with her mother and him and her brother and her child. He ends up slapping the John Strode ends up slapping his daughter Cara. The brother always says, "Don't do that, Dad." I mean, that's just it. It's the extent of the protection to his sister. And then they act like nothing's going on after that, and that goes on with the story. The brother and his girlfriend are going to be going to like a big bonfire, and they're going to have that radio station guy there. He don't even know, the brother doesn't even know he's living in the Myers house. That's how oblivious he is. And his girlfriend does, but for some reason doesn't tell him that till later on. So the story goes on, and Dr. Loomis decides he needs to tell the family that what kind of danger they're in, they're staying in that house. So he just walks in one day while the mother is in there doing her laundry and stuff like that, and she's freaking out because I guess it's Halloween, and she's just kind of weirded out. Dr. Loomis just walks in there one day, and she sees him, and like she's like, "Oh," he's like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "Well, what are you doing there? Who are you?" You know, he's just standing in her house. I don't know if he just come through the open door, if it was unlocked or whatever. And he tells her all the stuff about the family and everything, and that she needs to leave. So when he leaves, of course, Michael's roaming around in the house, and she ends up seeing him, and she runs out the back door. Of course, she don't know where he's at. She's got her laundry up there, and he tears down one of the sheets, and there he is. He's got a big axe, and he's holding the axe like a baseball bat, and he hits her with the axe off. Shows off screen the blood splattering on the sheet. Of course, Michael wanted to be clean and everything. He decides to take it down to the laundry room and wash it, which later on Bill Clinton comes in. Well, not Bill Clinton, but John Strode comes in, standing there, and he's like, "Oh, thank God my wife's left. I don't have to worry about her." And all the electricity goes off, and he has to go down and inspect it. And he goes down there, and the wash machine's going, water's in the floor, like to your top of your ankles in water. And he's like standing in the water, and he opens up the wash machine, and it's the only thing running with all the electric off. So I don't understand that part. It's being on its own breaker for sure. A bunch of blood all over the sheets, and he backs up. Of course, Michael's right behind him, and grabs him and sticks him somehow onto where the electrical box is and electrocutes him only, not Michael. Maybe Michael must not be standing in the water. I don't know how he's not. He electrocutes him so bad that the dad's head explodes. It literally shows it explodes. So I guess that's supposed to be one of their great kills. And when he killed the mother, the blood went up on the blanket, but there was no blood on the ground or nothing because the daughter come home later on. There was no blood anywhere. He couldn't find any blood. But see, Tommy Doyle had met up with the little girl's son. Let's see what his name was. I guess it'd be Tim Strode. He meets up with him outside and ends up being in the house with Tim later on. So the mother comes in and finds him there, and he's got the baby still yet. Tommy does. And he's telling her to come over his house. She needs to stay out of that house because, Michael's going to be back. So he goes across the street, and he has her watching her house. See, her mother has already been killed. She just doesn't know it. She just don't know. She thinks she's home. The father, I think, came out in between that time and was killed. So the only ones that were left was her brother and, of course, her little boy, which was with her. She was supposed to be keeping an eye on it. Take it back. Tim is the brother, and Danny is her little boy, Danny Strode. But Tim was with his girlfriend, and they go to the thing where the DJ is, the bonfire where everybody's partying and everything. And that's where he finds out that the DJ says that they got to get one of the people that lives in the house of Michael Myers. And he's like, "What? I live in the Michael Myers house?" And his girlfriend says, "Yes, of course you do. I didn't tell you." So now you're kind of left out in the dark. So she takes him back to the radio station guy, says, I want to do an interview at the actual house. So she ends up going back with her boyfriend to the house, Michael Myers' house, and it doesn't even look like the Michael Myers house. It looks totally different to me. I don't know how they pull it off that it's supposed to be the same house. So they go back to the house. Of course, while she's waiting on the DJ guy, she gets all wild and crazy. You know, they do in these kind of movies. She wants to have her run in with her boyfriend, so they end up going upstairs and doing what they have to do. And of course, the boy goes to the bathroom later to take a shower. Myers hands him a towel. Michael hands him a towel because he's like, give me a towel, honey. And he thinks that's the girl, his girlfriend in there. And Michael gets him a towel, and then the boy gets out, and of course, he grabs him and kills him. Then he goes in the other room where the girl is, and by that time, Kara Strode is across there with Tommy, and she sees Michael in the room with him, so she calls over and says, hey, get out of there. Michael's behind you. Too late. She's fried. She's toast. She looks down, and there's her boy walking over to the house. She literally lets him out of her sight for 2 seconds, and he's already over there. So she goes over to the house, fight with Michael, get away from him, and they run back over to Tommy's house, and see Tommy was with Dr. Loomis. They're already over at Tommy's house. So she gets over across there, and then when she does that with the boy, the man in black is there, which it turns out to be Dr. Loomis's partner at the sanitarium that came at the beginning of the movie, Dr. Wynn, played by Mitchell Ryan. And he's like, hey, we need somebody to take over for Michael, and that's why we need this boy and the baby and all that. So, what's strange is she runs upstairs, Kara runs upstairs. When she gets up there, the old lady has the baby. They're going to get Kara, and she jumps out the window. And when she jumps out the window, she's laying on the ground, and then it shows later there's Tommy and Dr. Loomis, and they're standing there like they've been drugged, and they're like, what happened? What happened here? Where's she at? And they said, why didn't they kill us? And they're like, they want us to, come back to that sanitarium and all that. So it's kind of a strange movie. I don't know about this movie. And the old lady that Tommy Doyle lives at her house, she was telling the little boy a big story about the boogeyman and all this, how she was babysitting Michael Myers the night of the murders of his sister, and that wasn't true because in the original there was no babysitter there. It was just his sister, her boyfriend, and Michael. So she's telling the little boy that he said Michael heard the voices and decided to kill his sister that night while she was babysitting him. So that must have all took place before the movie started. Maybe that's how they're saying it. Like when you see the beginning of Halloween where he's walking around with the outside and goes into the house, that must be when the babysitter left. They end up going back to the sanitarium to get the boy and the baby. It is the craziest thing I ever seen. I know Dr. Loomis is with him. He got rights to get in there, but it shows like a maximum security thing after Dr. Loomis separates from Tommy Doyle, and he just walks through the hospital. There's nobody there. Maximum security just opens up the prison gate thing, and not locked. Roams the halls. Hears the little girl screaming. Tries to get her out of her room, and sees Michael, and he's freaking out, oh my God, I see him again since the first movie, and when I was a little boy, and I'm face to face with Michael, and Michael's just doing his usual stroll down there while he's trying to break the door open to get the car out of the room, and he gets right up to him, it's 5 seconds, and just kind of barely grabs him, and later on he's running, and Dr. Loomis is he must not have had Donald Pleasence must not have a lot of money for him, so he just comes and goes. He's just in the scene and gone, then back and then gone. He meets up with his buddy from the sanitarium, and he's going to shoot him, and he tells him, oh, why did you do this to me? And he goes into, the man in black goes into all the different reasons why that they are doing this with Michael, and how pure evil is what they're trying to obtain, be able to, I don't know. This is a weird movie, people. But anyway, it comes down to it. They're doing an operation. I assume they're doing something with the little kid, but the little kid's not even in the operating room. And all of a sudden, Michael comes in there and kills everybody in the operating room, including the man in black and everybody else. And then he starts chasing Tommy and the girl, her boy and the baby's being carried, of course. And he's chasing them and trying to kill them. And some reason, I don't know, Dr. Loomis is not there. They end up drugging Michael, and then Tommy beats him with a big club, and they think he's dead. And they get in a car, and they finally you see Dr. Loomis again, and he's like, take off, I got something to take care of. And then it's goes off. They show the Michael Myers mask sitting there by itself. Myers, where he was beat up and everything, he's gone, of course, and then show the pumpkin, and it goes off. I know it's probably a poor way I've described this movie, but I don't know what else to say about it. I mean, just looks very low budget. It was very, very crazily shot. Nothing was good about this movie. I did not like this movie. I didn't even want to sit down and watch it. It was only 88 minutes long, and it about killed me to get through it. I almost fell asleep. The kills weren't anything special. The Myers mask looked horrible. The house didn't look like the Myers house. The acting was not very good at all. Across the board, Donald Pleasence had no reason to be in this movie. He passed away after the movie. I don't know how long after they filmed it. It had sat in the can that he before he passed away, because there was a little memorial thing, and at the end of it said, for him at the end of the credits. It just wasn't very good, people. I can't say anything good about this movie. It's not as bad as the Rob Zombie stuff, but it's not good at all by any stretch of the imagination. I think I might have liked Resurrection better, and that's pretty bad. I wouldn't spend my time on this one, people. That's my opinion. If you loved it, leave it in the comments. Tell me what you think. Tell me how much better the producer's cut is, and maybe I'll like the movie better. I don't know. I doubt it, because I've watched the producer's cut, and I can't even remember that much difference in it. I know at the hospital it changed a little bit. I just didn't like it. So that concludes our part 5 of Badraven Scary Movie Collection reviews. The next one will be part 6 of 10, and it'll be, of course, the build up for this one, part 5, Halloween part 5. Look forward to that one, and please come back and watch our reviews. I really appreciate all of you out there coming and watching the channel. I really do appreciate it. So I want to just tell you the Badraven is your friend, and we'll talk to you later, and goodbye.